Have you ever been in the middle of a busy day, completely absorbed in your routine, when suddenly, without any warning, the thought of a specific person strikes you with the physical force of a wave crashing against the shore? It is not merely a passing memory or a casual reminder. It is a visceral sensation, a tightness in the chest, or a sudden shift in your mood that feels entirely foreign to your current environment. You might wonder if you are imagining things, or if your mind is simply playing tricks on you, seeking comfort in familiar faces from the past. However, deep down, in the quietest corners of your intuition, you suspect that this is not a one-way street. You sense that this sudden intrusion is a response, a silent dialogue occurring beneath the noise of the physical world. This experience does not mean that you are losing control, nor does it imply that you are obsessively clinging to something that has already faded away. It is crucial to understand that these sensations are a natural part of the human experience, involving a complex interplay between your psychology, your emotional history, and the subtle energies that bind us to one another. We are not isolated islands. We are deeply interconnected beings, wired for resonance. When you feel someone from afar, it is often because the invisible threads of connection are vibrating with activity, transcending the limitations of space and time. There is a profound, silent layer to our existence that psychology is only beginning to map, and that spirituality has whispered about for centuries. It is a realm where thoughts carry weight and emotions act as transmitters. Throughout this discussion, we will peel back the layers of this mystery. We are going to explore 10 profound revelations that will help you decipher these signals. We will look at why this happens, how your subconscious mind is involved, and how you can navigate these waters with elegance and clarity, turning confusion into a journey of self-discovery and inner peace. The silent resonance of shared history. The first thing you must understand is that a connection with another person is never truly erased. It is merely transformed. When you have shared significant emotional depth with someone, your nervous systems have essentially learned the rhythm of one another, creating a psychological map that remains etched in your subconscious long after the physical contact has ceased. This is not just a poetic idea. It is grounded in the way our brains process deep bonds. The emotional intensity you once shared created a frequency, a unique vibrational signature that both of you still recognize on an instinctive level. When you suddenly feel their presence, it is often because that dormant frequency has been activated, sending a ripple through the unseen fabric that connects your psyches. This phenomenon operates much like the principle of entanglement in quantum physics, where particles that have interacted remain linked, affecting each other regardless of the distance separating them. In the realm of human emotion, this means that a sudden surge of intensity in their life can tug at the tether connecting them to you. Your subconscious mind, which is far more sensitive than your conscious awareness, picks up on this shift before you can logically explain it. It manifests as a sudden thought, a dream, or a feeling of heaviness. It is not necessarily that they are sending you a direct message, but rather that the shared energy field you created is vibrating, and you are sensitive enough to feel the tremors. Imagine two musical instruments in the same room. If you pluck the string of one, the corresponding string on the other will begin to vibrate without being touched. Your heart functions in much the same way, acting as a resonant chamber for the bonds you have forged. This resonance is a testament to the depth of your capacity to feel and connect. It is a sign that the bridge between you, though perhaps invisible to the eye, is still capable of conducting energy. It asks you to acknowledge the bond without being consumed by it, to notice the vibration without feeling the need to fix or analyze it immediately. Have you ever felt this sudden shift in your mood without a clear cause, knowing instantly who it was connected to? The broadcasting power of the subconscious. We often believe that our secrets are safe within the confines of our own minds, yet the subconscious is a powerful transmitter that broadcasts our truest states of being. When someone feels your energy from afar, or when you feel theirs, it is frequently because of what is being repressed rather than what is being expressed. The mind tries to suppress longing, guilt, or unresolved conflict, but this effort creates a significant amount of psychic tension. This tension acts like a beacon. The more you try not to think of someone, or the more they try to suppress their thoughts of you, the louder the energetic signal becomes. It is the paradox of effort. The resistance itself fuels the connection. Consider a story that illustrates this dynamic perfectly. There was once a person who spent months trying to forcefully forget a past relationship. They deleted every photograph, removed every gift, and filled their schedule with endless distractions, convinced that erasure was the path to freedom. Yet, internally, they were fighting a daily war with their grief. One evening, completely exhausted, they finally surrendered, collapsing onto their sofa and admitting to the empty room that they missed their partner deeply. They stopped fighting the feeling and just let it wash over them. At that exact moment, miles away, their phone lit up with a message from that very person who hadn't reached out in half a year. The moment the resistance dropped, the signal became clear. This happens because the subconscious mind does not understand the concept of no. When you constantly tell yourself, "I will not think of them," you are still focusing your energy entirely on them. It creates a continuous loop of focus that travels. It is like a radio station that never goes off the air. Even if the volume is turned down, the frequency is still being broadcast. When you feel someone thinking of you, it is often because their suppression has failed and their subconscious focus has turned toward you with intensity. The energy they are trying to hold back is spilling over, reaching out to the one person who matches that specific frequency, you. The lingering frequency of unresolved emotion. There is a unique heaviness that comes from things left unsaid and cycles left incomplete. In psychology, we refer to the tension of incomplete tasks as the Zeigarnik effect, where the brain prioritizes unfinished business. Preserve the original language in our working memory. When applied to emotional connections and spiritual ties, this effect is amplified. If a relationship or interaction ended without closure, without the true expression of feelings, or with questions left hanging in the air, it creates a static charge between two people. This static prevents true silence. The energy cannot settle because the loop has not been closed. You might feel this as a nagging sense of anxiety or a persistent mental conversation where you are explaining yourself to them in your head. This internal dialogue is not happening in a vacuum. Thoughts are forms of energy, and when you are locked in a mental loop of what if or why, you are actively directing a stream of consciousness toward that person. Conversely, if they are the ones replaying the past, analyzing your last conversation, or feeling the weight of regret, that energy seeks a target. You become the destination of their unresolved cognitive dissonance. It is an invisible tug of war where neither side has dropped the rope. Think of this unfinished business like a door that has been left slightly ajar in a drafty house. It may not seem like a major problem, but the wind will constantly whistle through it, creating a noise that makes it impossible to fully rest. The draft is the constant flow of energy between you and them. Until one of you decides to either walk through the door or firmly close it, the air will continue to circulate, carrying with it the emotional debris of the past. Feeling them is often a symptom of this open door, a reminder that something in the architecture of your shared history is still waiting to be resolved or released. The magnetic pull of detachment. One of the most counterintuitive aspects of energy dynamics is that the moment you genuinely pull back, the other person feels the shift. We often operate under the assumption that we must hold on tight to maintain a connection, that our constant thinking and worrying is what keeps the bond alive. However, from a psychological and energetic perspective, clutching creates resistance. It pushes the other person away because it feels like a demand, a subtle form of suffocation. When you are constantly projecting your energy towards someone, you occupy all the space in the connection, leaving them no room to feel their own emotions or to miss you. When you finally decide to reclaim your energy, focusing on your own growth, your own joy, and your own stability, you stop feeding the cord that connects you. You stop sending that constant stream of attention. This creates a sudden energetic vacuum. The other person, who had grown accustomed to the warmth of your attention, even if they weren't consciously aware of it, suddenly feels a cold spot. They feel the absence of your energy. It is often in this silence, in this space you have created by stepping back, that they begin to think of you most intensely. They reach out, energetically or physically, to understand where the source of that familiar warmth has gone. Imagine your connection as a taut rubber band held between two people. As long as you are pulling and chasing, there is tension, but the dynamic is fixed. You are the chaser and they are the runner. But if you stop pulling and stand firm in your own power, the tension changes. The slack allows them to feel the reality of the distance. By letting go, you are not severing the connection. You are simply placing the handle back in their court. You are creating the necessary space for them to experience your absence, which is often the only way for them to truly understand the value of your presence. The mirror of emotional states. We often assume that our emotions are entirely our own, generated solely by our internal reactions to the world around us. However, when you are deeply connected to someone through a strong bond or a soul tie, you act as mirrors for one another's emotional states. There are moments when a wave of sadness washes over you that feels dense and heavy, yet it does not seem to match your current circumstances. You might be having a perfectly adequate day, yet your heart feels squeezed. This can be a sign of emotional contagion across distance. You are picking up on a frequency of distress or intense emotion from the person you are attuned to. This occurs because empathy is not limited by proximity. Our mirror neurons allow us to understand and feel what others are feeling when they are in front of us, but the intuitive heart extends this capacity beyond sight. If the person you are connected to is going through a dark night of the soul, experiencing profound regret, or facing a crisis, their vibration drops. Because you are attuned to their station, you pick up on this static. It is not that you are absorbing their karma or their pain permanently, but rather that you are sensing the turbulence in their field. It is a testament to your sensitivity and the depth of the care that once existed, or still exists, between you. Think of the ocean's surface. If a large stone is dropped into the water miles away, the ripples will eventually travel outward. If you are floating in that same body of water, you will feel the gentle lift and fall of those ripples, even if you did not see the stone fall. You are floating in the same emotional ocean. The key is to recognize that the wave is passing under you, but it is not of you. You can observe the sadness without claiming it as your identity. It is a signal of their state, not a mandate for you to suffer along with them. Oh, what does this sudden change in your emotional weather awaken in your heart? The architecture of thought forms. It is essential to realize that thoughts are not merely abstract, fleeting clouds that drift through the mind and vanish. In the realm of energy and psychology, thoughts are things. They have structure, they have weight, and they have intent. When someone thinks of you with intense focus, whether it is with love, longing, or even anger, they are essentially constructing a thought form. This is a concentrated packet of energy directed specifically at you. When this thought form reaches you, it can manifest as a sudden, clear image of them, or hearing their voice in your mind's ear. This concept aligns with the understanding that energy flows where attention goes. If someone is obsessively thinking about you, they are pouring a significant amount of their life force into that mental image. They are building a bridge of focus. You feel this because your own energy field detects the intrusion. It can feel like being watched or like a sudden pressure in your head. It is the psychic equivalent of someone tapping you on the shoulder. The more intense their emotion, the more solid the thought form feels. It is why you might suddenly smell their perfume or cologne when there is no logical reason for it. The sensory memory is being triggered by the arrival of their focused energy. You can imagine this process like a letter being delivered to your internal mailbox. Even if you haven't opened the letter yet, the mailbox is full. You know something has arrived. The ding of notification in your spirit is real. It is important to treat these thought forms with discernment. Just because a package has arrived doesn't mean you have to open it, engage with it, or let it clutter your home. You can acknowledge that someone is directing their focus toward you, understand the sensation, and then gently sweep it off your front porch, keeping your mental space clear and uncluttered. Synchronicities as maps of connection. One of the most undeniable signs that the energy between you and another person is active is the appearance of synchronicities. You might decide to let them go, and 10 minutes later, you see a car with their name on the license plate. You might hear their favorite obscure song in a grocery store, or look at the clock at exactly the time that matches their birthday. A skeptic would call this the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, or frequency illusion, the idea that because you are thinking of them, your reticular activating system, RAS, in the brain, is highlighting these patterns. While this is scientifically true, it does not explain the timing or the improbability of these events. From a spiritual perspective, synchronicities are the universe's way of showing that the energetic alignment is still in place. They are external reflections of an internal reality. When two people are vibrating at a similar frequency, or when there is unfinished destiny between them, the external world seems to conspire to keep the connection in awareness. These signs are not necessarily commands to run back to them. They are simply indicators of the current weather pattern of your life. They show that the bond is still charged. The universe is weaving a tapestry, and for this moment, the threads are running parallel. Think of these synchronicities as road signs. When you are driving and see a sign for a specific destination, it doesn't mean you must turn the car around and go there. It simply confirms where you are on the map. It confirms that this person is still a landmark in your psyche. You can see the sign, acknowledge the strange magic of the coincidence, smile at the mystery of life, and keep driving forward in your own lane. You do not need to assign a heavy meaning to every coincidence. Sometimes, the magic lies simply in noticing how interconnected everything truly is. The role of intuitive knowing. There is a distinct difference between the anxiety of wishful thinking and the calm certainty of intuition. Often, when we want someone to miss us, we project that desire onto every sensation we feel. However, true energetic connection comes with a specific flavor of knowing. It is a quiet, grounded sense of truth that arrives without panic. When you genuinely feel someone's energy from afar, it doesn't usually come with the frantic need to check their social media or ask friends about them. It lands in your body with a sense of sobriety. You just know. This deep knowing bypasses the logical mind. It is your soul recognizing the truth of the situation. You might suddenly understand why they acted the way they did, or feel a wave of forgiveness that you didn't force. This clarity often happens because, on a higher level, the egos are not involved. The ego is the part of us that protects, defends, and separates. The intuition is the part of us that connects. When the noise of the ego settles, the signal becomes clear. If you feel a sudden, calm assurance that they are thinking of you or that they are okay, trust that feeling. Imagine your intuition as a compass. A compass doesn't scream or shout. The needle simply floats and points true north. Anxiety, on the other hand, is like a spinning weather vane in a storm, constantly changing direction. If the feeling of them is erratic, fearful, and loud, it is likely your own attachment. If the feeling is still, deep, and persistent, it is the energy of the bond itself. Learning to distinguish between the noise of your fears and the whisper of your intuition is one of the most powerful tools in navigating these invisible connections. The shadow projection. Sometimes, what we interpret as feeling another person's energy is actually an encounter with our own shadow self, projected onto the canvas of that person. In psychology, the shadow represents the parts of ourselves we do not wish to acknowledge, our neediness, our anger, our fear of abandonment. We might feel a sudden intense wave of them, but in reality, our subconscious is using their image to bring our own unhealed wounds to the surface. We feel a pull toward them because they represent something we are missing in ourselves. This does not mean the connection isn't real, but it adds a layer of complexity. If they were the source of your validation or your sense of safety, your system will crave their energy like a drug. The sensation of feeling them might actually be your own withdrawal symptoms. It is your soul calling out for the integration of those lost parts of yourself. The universe uses these deep connections to trigger our evolution. The intensity you feel is the heat of transformation. It is asking you to look at what this person represents to you. Do they represent freedom, love, security? Metaphorically, this is like looking into a mirror in a dimly lit room. You think you see a ghost standing behind you, but when you turn on the light, you realize it was just your own reflection distorted by the shadows. The person you are thinking of acts as that mirror. The intense energy you feel is an invitation to turn the light on inside yourself. By healing the part of you that feels incomplete without them, you actually clear the static on the line, allowing for a truer, cleaner form of connection that isn't based on need, but on genuine affinity. The call to energetic sovereignty. The final and perhaps most important realization is that feeling someone's energy is not a life sentence of servitude to that connection. You have the power of energetic sovereignty. Just because you feel them does not mean you must engage. Just because the phone rings does not mean you have to answer it. You are the custodian of your own energetic space. Acknowledging that you feel them is the first step, but the second step is deciding what you want to do with that information. You have the right to set boundaries, not just physically, but energetically. This involves visualization and the conscious decision to protect your peace. It means recognizing the intrusion of their energy and gently, firmly sending it back to them with love, but closing the window. It is about understanding that your mind is your home, and you get to decide who lives there rent-free. This isn't about building walls of ice. It's about building walls of light. It's about defining where you end and where they begin. When you establish this sovereignty, the connection transforms. It stops being a source of pain and distraction and becomes simply a fact of life that no longer controls your mood or your destiny. Think of your energy field as a warm, lit house on a winter night. You can leave the windows open and let the cold wind of everyone else's emotions blow through, freezing you to the bone. Or you can acknowledge the wind outside, admire its power, but choose to close the windows and lock the doors, keeping the warmth inside for yourself. By sealing your space, you stop leaking your vitality. Ironically, it is often when you achieve this state of sovereign wholeness that the other person, sensing they can no longer drain you or sway you, begins to respect you on a soul level. To feel so deeply is not a flaw. It is a profound gift. It signifies that your heart is open, your intuition is awake, and you are vibrating at a level where you can perceive the subtle, invisible currents that run beneath the surface of our physical reality. You are not imagining these things, nor are you weak for being affected by them. You are simply a finely tuned instrument in a world that often forgets to listen to the music of the soul. The sensations you experience are evidence of your humanity and your capacity for deep, enduring connection. However, understanding this mechanism is the key to your freedom. You do not need to be a victim of these waves. You can learn to surf them. The instruction for your healing is simple yet powerful. Observe without absorbing. When the energy hits you, acknowledge it. Say to yourself, I feel this, but I do not need to become this. Welcome what your soul reveals, but remember that you are the sky, and these feelings are just the weather. They will pass, but your essence remains untouched. Ultimately, the strongest connection you will ever have is the one with yourself. When you nurture that internal bond, the noise of the outside world and the energy of others settles into a harmonious rhythm. If this message resonated with the deepest parts of your being, and you wish to continue exploring the mysteries of the mind and the heart with elegance and depth, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Share this video with someone who might be feeling the heavy weight of an invisible tie today. Let us walk this path of understanding together.